and gentlemen, welcome and thank you for joining this lecture on a topic of increasing importance and relevance in our contemporary world: compassion as a key to education for sustainable development in the future, mission and advancement of a theological concept. As we begin, it's important to recognize that Christian values, which once held a predominant position in European societies, have become less assumed and more questioned in recent years. This shift has paved the way for a diverse array of worldviews from various spheres of life to emerge and coexist. Amidst this diversity, however, one value seems to be gaining consensus across different sectors and ideologies: the commitment to sustainable living. Today, nearly every action and area of life is scrutinized for its sustainability, with a constant search for ways to enhance and improve our impact on the planet. Such developments make it increasingly difficult to establish a common set of values that extends beyond the principle of sustainability. This challenge is evident not only in political debates, but also presents a significant issue for children and young people within educational contexts. Schools, as learning environments, reflect a diverse range of ethical and ideological perspectives. Addressing this complexity effectively is essential for creating a comprehensive approach to values and sustainability in education. Therefore, addressing this complexity effectively within educational settings is crucial to fostering a holistic and inclusive approach to sustainable living and ethical development. Regarding future crises and challenges, it is important to highlight that the concept of compassion, originally articulated by Johann Baptist Metz as empathic sympathy, holds appeal beyond Christian communities. It resonates with a broader, more diverse audience, including those from various faith and secular backgrounds. As a pre-theological and non-ideological concept, an empathic and compassionate spirituality can guide the future of humanity by uniting people of faith, spirituality, and even non-religious individuals. This unifying and communication-promoting potential could also be leveraged in school leadership contexts. When the classical performance principle is replaced by a subject-orientated view of the human being with the goal of a good future, both the idea of compassion and sustainable development with individuals are realized. Here, religious teachers have a special role model function as they professionally engage with existential questions, spiritual religious interpretive patterns, and reflections on a positive future for the world and humanity. The theological concept of compassion can play a significant role in a social learning, shedding light on its spiritual and religious dimensions through the lens of a Christian ethic of love. When these reflections extend beyond purely religious or educational context, they can establish a meaningful connection with UNESCO's Sustainable Development Goals, the so-called SDGs, which address similar concerns. This raises a crucial question: can the concept of compassion in its evolution contribute to achieving the 17 SDGs, or might it even serve as a foundational principle for these goals? The intended lecture examined the relationship between education for sustainable development and the concept of compassion, thus developing an evolution of Metz's original idea adapted to current needs and the spirit of the age, Zeitgeist. It is based on the anthology which introduced new research approaches and discussions to this discourse. Over the past decades, sustainable living, often described with terms like turning point or no more business as usual, has become a widely accepted foundational value. As traditional Christian values have waned in influence within postmodern societies, the demand for a universally agreed upon value system for future planning has grown more urgent. The growing diversity of worldviews, along with increasing existential uncertainties and ambiguities, compels individuals to seek sustainable solutions that promise a more secure future. This quest for sustainability appears to bridge various societal trends and cultures, emerging as a unifying principle. It suggests that this search is evolving into a form of postmodern ethics that fosters community and can address contemporary crises collectively. Sustainability seems to be the guiding principle of the quest. Despite the ongoing ambiguity of the term and the canon of values and norms it encompasses, sustainability as a normative guiding principle enjoys high societal acceptance. When Greta Thunberg, in a speech at the World Economic Forum in Davos, calls on leading economic and political experts to act as if in crisis, with the words, "I want you to act as if you would in a crisis. I want you to act as if the house was on fire," because it is. Hardly anyone disputes the fact that environmental and climate protection are fundamental conditions for sustainable living and therefore one of the central tasks for the future. When the Pope, in his social encyclical Laudato Si, on the care for our common home, calls for a reflection on human world creation and God's understanding from a social, ecological and catastrophe theoretical perspective, and consequently a turnabout, formulating an eco-theological future approach, and even being referred to as the Green Pope by the German political party the Greens, the connection between sustainability and religion must inevitably be examined more closely. Are these described quests of a spiritual nature, particularly in the sense of a pre-theological and non-ideological entity? Does humanity, especially in times of crisis where it is forced to let go of the old and familiar and come to terms with a threatening reality, not particularly need spiritual interpretations of the world and humanity? This is where the research field of this anthology is more precisely defined. We see the task of this work as investigating whether the paradigm of compassion, developed and adapted to the challenge of our time, can serve as a key to a sustainable and viable lifestyle and education. In doing so, we orient ourselves to Christian quests that strive for a just, compassionate, solidaristic, peaceful and responsible life. The paradigm of compassion has significantly influenced contemporary theology, emphasizing the importance of empathy and solidarity in theology and society. It has transformed the way theologians consider the role of the Church in society and contributes to theological scholarship by suggesting that the suffering of the oppressed and marginalized represent the voice of God in the world. The term compassion was primarily shaped by the fundamental theologian Johann Baptist Metz, against the backdrop of an empathetic monotheism and a suffering-sensitive discourse about God. Metz reminds us that Jesus' focus was not on sin, but on the suffering of people, especially to those who were barely noticed or socially disadvantaged. See Leviticus 19. Metz views compassion not as mere passive empathy, but as an active solidarity and proactive compassion with the poor and the weak. His emphasis on the significance of suffering and pain as sources of understanding and empathy has led to a re-evaluation of these aspects in Christian theology, highlighting the importance of compassion and solidarity. According to Metz, compassion sends us to the front lines of political, social, and cultural conflicts in today's world. Perceiving and articulating the suffering of others is an absolute prerequisite for all future peace policies and new forms of social solidarity. This involves dismantling prejudices and false images of others and striving in educational processes to promote engaged humanity that does not simply accept suffering of any kind or for any reason with indifference. In line with this understanding of compassion as shared suffering, it distinctively differs from the problematic concept of pity, which often describes an asymmetric relationship, a stance of the strong toward the weak. Compassion, on the other hand, seeks equality and communication on an as an equal or possible basis. The paradigm of compassion has found numerous continuations and applications in the present day, leading to new theological approaches focusing on social justice, environmental ethics, and interreligious cooperation. Initially, initiatives based on this guiding principle did not address the challenges of global warming and the climate crisis. Instead, the general goal was to establish a culture and compassion in society and promote positive societal relationships to contribute to harmonious and peaceful coexistence. Compassion and empathy were to be strengthened as central societal values, both concerning oneself and others. The target groups included both youth and adults in various fields such as education, medicine, and care. Thus, the implementation of the so-called Compassion Project, initiated by Lothar Kult in the 1990s for the educational sector, often referred to as social internship, is not merely about providing an opportunity for career-orientated internships. It is also, and especially, about developing compassion and empathy towards those being cared for in institutions like hospital, retirement homes, and nursing homes. This experience can become a rewarding emotional, social, and possibly even spiritual experience for the students themselves. The concept of sustainability has evolved into a central theme in politics, economics, and society over the past few decades. It is based on the idea that our actions today should be structured in such a way that they also enable a livable future for future generations. In today's understanding, sustainability encompasses not only ecological but also social and economical aspects. The starting point for the current understanding of sustainability is the Brundtland Commission, which published the report Our Common Future in 1987. It defined sustainability as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. This definition includes ecological, social, and economic aspects and emphasizes long-term perspectives. In political discourse, sustainability is often cited as a guiding principle for societal and economic development. The United Nations adopted the Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development in 2015, setting 17 sustainability goals, including environmental protection, the fight against poverty and hunger, and the improvement of educational opportunities. Achieving these goals requires interdisciplinary cooperation and a broad societal consensus on sustainable development principles. The integration of sustainability into various areas of society poses numerous challenges. Sustainable development requires a change in thinking and behavior, both at the individual and collective levels. The concept of sustainability emphasizes the importance of long-term perspectives and the interconnectedness of ecological, social, and economic systems. This holistic approach requires considering the complexity of humans and natures. Religious education can significantly contribute to promoting sustainable development by raising awareness of environmental issues and societal justice and fostering moral values such as responsibility, compassion, and sustainability. An empathetic and compassionate spirituality can guide humanity's future, uniting believers, spiritual seekers, and non-religious people. This unifying potential could also play a crucial role in educational leadership, where a person-centered approach replaces traditional performance principles. Both the concept of compassion and sustainable development are realized. Religious education and religious educators have a special role model function, engaging professionally with existential questions, spiritual religious interpretive patterns, and reflections of a good future for the world and humanity. The theological concept of compassion can significantly contribute to social learning and illuminate its spiritual religious dimensions within the framework of a Christian ethic of love. If these reflections extend beyond the purely religious education context, it is possible to establish a mental link to the UNESCO Sustainable Development Goals. The connection between compassion and sustainability lies in their shared objective of fostering positive change and sustainable development. Compassion involves establishing an empathetic mindset, addressing societal issues, and bringing about positive change. Sustainability aims to create a livable future by considering ecological, economic, and social aspects. Compassion can contribute to a greater sensitivity to social environmental challenges and a willingness to work towards sustainability. Overall, the postmodern era demands a reorientation of our understanding of sustainability, embracing a holistic view, alternative forms of knowledge, and connecting with spiritual and ethical values. Developing such a perspective on sustainability requires considering the complexity and interconnectedness of human and natures. Thank you for your attention.